Bell Time by Sophie Tuvey. Chapter 24. Hello, David. Michael's eyes are on me as he answers the call. No, I wasn't planning on it. It must be that golf thing he told me about. I thought he'd already told David he wasn't going. Oh, right. Well, I watch as Michael's brain struggles to be creative. He's not very inventive when it comes to making excuses. I motion washing my hair. He shakes his head. No, I'm not stressed about that, don't worry. He's going to crumble. I can see it. Hold on a sec. He presses the phone against his shoulder. He wants me to join him for golf tomorrow. Joseph's pulled out. It's just him with the counsellor from the LEA. We were leaving tomorrow anyway. Where is it? The golf club near the school. That's right by where my dad lives. Maybe this is providential. Say yes then. You can drop me off at my dad's. He lifts the phone back to his ear. About what time? We pack up in the morning, including dismantling the puzzle, which I abandoned at 1 a.m, but Michael persevered in completing. Sylvia gives me a big hug and a card with her number. If you ever want to chat, she says. Thank you. As we load up the car, we see Donald in a most uncompromising position with Daisy. Ugh, I think I'm going to be sick, Michael says. No softening towards the furry friends then. In fact, Michael seems to change over the course of the car journey. The closer we get to Widlock, the more his jaw sets. What are you thinking about? I ask. He looks at me and tries to remove his frown. Nothing. That means he doesn't want to tell me. Are you nervous? I try a different tactic. Why would I be nervous? I've known David for years, he says, gripping the steering wheel. Well, why are you stressed then? He's my boss, and this counsellor is pretty important. This is just a game of golf. It isn't a conference. I roll my eyes. Yes, but it matters. It must matter, or he wouldn't have called me. I take issue with this on several levels. Firstly, David doesn't seem to mind calling Michael at any hour of the day. Case in point, the trip. Secondly, David calling doesn't necessarily equate to something that matters. What, do you think he's planning to sweet talk the counsellor into getting us funding for a new building? Don't be flippant, Jen. He's a young guy and he feels out of place with all those senior figures from the local authority who are close to retirement. He needs some backup. Widlock County's in trouble. As much as you dislike David, he is trying to help. There's only one person David cares about helping, and that's himself. I look out of the window at the familiar roads and scenery. And anyway, I begin again, I don't see why you're so afraid to speak your mind. He may be your boss, but he's just another guy. He doesn't own you. What, so you wouldn't care if it was you going out to lunch with him then? You'd just breeze in and grab a sandwich? I would never socialise with someone like him out of choice, I say pointedly. But yes, if it came to it, I would eat my sandwich and I wouldn't care if he ordered caviar. We turn into the cul-de-sac and I grab my handbag. I'll hop out, you stay there. I give him a brief kiss and then fetch my hold-all from the boot. Have fun, I say with a touch of irony, waving him off. With a sigh, I turn to face my old front door. The familiar emotions churn up. Love, anger, and regret. I try the handle. Unsurprisingly, it's open. Dad? I call as I step inside. The air feels thick and dank, but it's the same as ever. Sage green paint, parquet floor, hooks overloaded with coats. I dump my bags and carry on through to the kitchen. It's so quiet when Katie's away. I try the back door and step out into the sunny afternoon. The beech tree is covered in copper leaves and the grass is scattered with them. The light in the shed is on, so I head towards it. Dad? He's wearing his old jeans with his dog-eared forest green fleece and his white hair is long, needing a cut. Oh, hello, love, he says distractedly while he lays some wires into position. I can smell the acrid solder iron and the musty wood. Do me a favour, can you cut this off for me? Automatically, I take the string and grab a pair of scissors. It's as if I've never been away. What are you up to? I ask. Just wanted to fix this light. The sensor's broken. Thought it could be good for your flat. My eyes brim with sudden tears. He does care. Thanks, Dad. I lay my hand on his arm. Growing up, people wouldn't even think he was my dad because he was white. We looked nothing alike. But in this moment, he looks up, and his eyes are watery too. I'm glad you came. I watch Dad potter around for a bit, then I head back inside to make some tea. Once I've left his mug on the workbench, I sit on my own in the lounge and lean back into the silence. I grab my laptop and open it up. I read over my opening chapter, and I start seeing things I want to change, words I want to improve. It's all so vivid again, even after such a long break. My fingers start to fly over the keys, and it feels like hardly any time has passed when my dad comes back inside. Do you want some food? I've got salmon. I check my phone. Nothing from Michael. Sure. I continue typing while Dad bustles about in the kitchen. He's always been a great cook, and he cuts his own herbs from the garden. That's what the house smells like. Rosemary, basil, and mint. School okay? Dad asks as we sit at the table together. He seems more attentive than usual. It's been busy, I say, pouring some water. Dad always forgets the drinks. Katie says you're going for promotion. I probably won't get it, I say, gulping from my glass. Good to try, though. Bit more money for you. Any thoughts on the flat? I make a face. Look, if you don't want to move back in here, why don't you start looking for somewhere nicer? I might do, although it's proved handy to have a boyfriend with a clean and tidy house. As if he's reading my mind, he says casually, Are you seeing someone? I look at him in surprise. Dad never asks personal questions. Katie told me, he says when he sees my face. Well, it's only been a few days. What's he like? I try to think of some adequate adjectives. Intense, relentless, determined, all too scary. Motivated. Motivated? I mean, he's really good at his job. Much better than me. I'm not asking for his credentials, Dad says, waving his fork in the air. I meant his personality. That is his personality, I say. So you can be workaholics together then. I'm not a workaholic, I say automatically, although I've been thinking exactly the same thing. You don't seem to do much else. I remember my resolution and sigh. Well, I just spent some time now working on my story. Good. You should do more of that, you know. He looks off into the distance, and I can tell he's thinking about Mum. You always think you have time, all the time in the world, for the things you want to do. But suddenly, you run out. Nobody gives you a warning, he says. Silence hangs in the air. Sorry I haven't been here for so long. I finally vocalize an apology. I know you're busy. He doesn't want to dwell on it, and I'm grateful for that. Katie's doing well. Yes, I think she'll have no problems finding a job. I wonder where she's going to end up, he muses. It's quiet without her, I say. Maybe that was why I left. I couldn't cope being here without her. It's always quiet around here, Dad says. There's an unexpected edge in his tone. I thought you liked the quiet. He raises his eyes and blinks. Yes, he says. Sometimes the silence gets too loud. Just like Sylvia told me. I finished my food, but I can't get rid of the stab of guilt in my gut. On the subject of silence, my phone is still dull with no new messages or calls. Maybe the guys are eating at the golf club. Dad and I sit in the lounge together and watch the news. I consider updating Dina and Claire, but I know they were sounding alarm bells anyway, so it feels pointless. I text Katie instead. No secrets from my sister. Then a new message comes through from Michael. Michael, something's come up. Can you stay at your dad's? Sorry, Jen. I feel my eyes sting with disappointment. Something's come up? Dad, do you mind if I stay tonight? I'm just going to go and ring Katie. As I thump my way up the stairs, I swallow back a sob. Something's come up, and I bet it's something to do with David. So what? He's just ditched you, with no explanation? None, I sob. It must be David. Look, you know the measure of that guy, but if Michael is the great person you've been telling me, then there's probably a good reason why he's left you tonight. He's not breaking up with you. I hope not, but it's weird. Well, if it turns out that Michael is actually the jerk that you originally thought he was, then it's better to find that out sooner rather than later. That's not very comforting. Sorry. Katie sighs. Look, spend a few days with Dad, get all your work stuff done, and write more of your story. Then I'll get the train down on Friday and we'll stay at your flat together to get you used to being there again. And hope that I don't get hunted down by a drug dealer. Stay strong, Jen. You don't need him. But it feels like I do.